Bene, buongiorno a tutti. Innanzitutto mi scuso per il ritardo con cui iniziamo questa sessione, ma stamattina siamo andati un po' lunghi, anche per via dell'intervento del Ministro Salvini, e quindi le sessioni nelle altre sale sono dilungate e siamo un po' in ritardo con i lavori anche noi. In questa sessione parleremo dei nuovi mercati, che poi tanto nuovi non sono, e in particolare ci concentreremo sull'India. L'India che è un paese chiave per l'economia globale ed è un partner sempre più strategico per l'Italia. È la nazione più popolosa al mondo, 1.400.000.000 di abitanti, un mercato in fortissima espansione, un PIL che viaggia attorno al 7-8%, ed è un mercato con una domanda crescente di prodotti, di servizi e di infrastrutture. L'età media in India è attorno ai 28 anni, quindi un serbatoio di risorse umane immenso, il livello di scolarizzazione è molto alto, ogni anno migliaia e migliaia di ingegneri indiani si laureano e quindi per l'Italia l'India rappresenta una grandissima opportunità di business sia nel settore manufatturiero, nelle costruzioni, nell'industria tecnologica in cui l'India eccelle e ovviamente anche nella logistica. L'India è uno dei principali hub mondiali per la supply chain, una grandissima produzione e sta investendo molto nelle infrastrutture, proprio per migliorare il sistema dei trasporti, soprattutto il sistema dei trasporti interni, e quindi favorire gli scambi commerciali. Per le aziende italiane ovviamente è un mercato che non si può ignorare. Noi ci siamo concentrati moltissimo, il mercato italiano, sull'Estremo Oriente, sulla Cina, su altri paesi, ma non abbiamo ancora affrontato in maniera così decisa ed importante il mercato indiano. E oggi vedremo il perché, vedremo invece che cosa si sta facendo e che cosa si può fare per sviluppare le relazioni con un paese come l'India. Quindi, come facciamo a collaborare meglio con il mercato indiano? Quali sono le sfide che dovremmo affrontare e quali strategie dovremmo adottare? Ma questo ce lo diranno i relatori che abbiamo qui e che ovviamente sono molto esperti del mercato indiano e direi iniziamo immediatamente con un speech del console generale indiano a Milano, Mr. Lavanya Kumar, al quale chiederei appunto how India, which is now one of the key drivers of the global growth today, what are the Indian government priorities for strengthening economic relationship with Italy? Which sector offer the best opportunities for Italy-India collaboration in the coming years? Please, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you, Mr. Fusip. You all know that we have now our relationship with Italy is elevated to the strategic partnership level. So we view Italy as one of our main economic partner, and besides the excellent understandings we share at the highest level in the political relationship. Now we feel that it is the time to transform the excellent understanding in the political level to the economic realities on the ground. So as India is developing, we feel that there is an immense opportunities for Italian investors to invest in India, especially in various sectors, including the infrastructure. And we are really investing a lot in infrastructure in the past decade. So I will share a little later about the details at how much investments are going on and what are the opportunities for Italian investors. We feel that Italy has an immense capability to assist us in developing various infrastructures and also in improving our logistics. And besides the infrastructure projects in the public transport sectors and also in logistics sectors and food processing sectors. These, Italy has a great role to play in India, that one. So these are the preliminary ideas. We look forward to Italy to come and join hands with us. So shall I?
Please, yeah.
Yeah. So allow me to share a few details, because this is the topic is on the logistics and shipping things. So allow me to share a few details about how India is investing in the infrastructure in the ports and port-led development, so that you can have some idea about how India is progressing in this one. So in 2015, that means around exactly 10 years back, we started a flagship program called Sagarmala project. Sagarmala means it is connecting all ports and port-led development project. The aim was to transform the ports so that they become the key logistic hubs for the exports and imports, for reducing the logistics costs. So as part of this, we are improving and developing the inland waterways and the coastal that one. So these are aimed to improve the India's logistic competitiveness. So if I can, because the numbers will speak better than the words. So if I can give you the numbers, the aim of the program is to invest around $36 billion in the 1 decade for infrastructure improvement in ports. So another $10 billion worth projects are going on. So as part of this one, so one is that port-led industrialization, second is inland and coastal shippings, that improvement, that one, port modernization, and also port connectivity through railroad network improvements, that one. Earlier what used to happen is that in India the industrial hubs are located little hinterland, and the bringing the goods and logistic costs to ports was taking a huge time. So we are making a conscious efforts to bring the industries close to the ports, so that the cost of logistics will be lesser. We realize that now to be a successful player in the global trade, two issues play a very key role. One is fast to speed to innovation, and second one is speed to shipping with less logistics cost. So our effort is to on these two fronts, that one. So allow me to present a few details about what are the major projects coming up in infrastructure in the port sector, in the maritime sector. We are building two major seaports in India. One is Vadhavan in Maharashtra, which is expected that investment around $8.7 billion. So we expect that once the port is completed, it will handle around 300 million tons of metric tons of cargo annually. So that it will become one of the top 10 ports in the world. And second one is that in Andaman Nicobar Islands, we are investing around $6.5 billion. Mainly we are viewing it as the transshipment hub, especially for it will cater for the large cargo vessels, that one. So now what are the investment opportunities for Italian investor or the Italian companies in this sector? One is that we are allowing 100% FDI, foreign direct investment, in automatic route with a 10-year straight tax holidays, that one. So our another opportunities are that we are aiming to become a top maritime nation by 2047. That means in another 25 years. So we have identified around 26 new inland waterways. There we invite Italian investors to come and benefit from this one. And another one is that you can understand that in another decade, we plan to invest around $82 billion in the improvement of the inland waterways and the shippings in infrastructure, that one. So besides that, we have kept aside around $3 billion maritime fund for development of ships and also for repair industry. So we have around now 1,500 ships under the flag of India. So in another 10 to 15 years, we plan to add another 1,000 ships to this one. So this will give you a brief idea about how much investments are going on in the shipping sector in India. So to make these results visible, at least a decade will be 7 to 10 years will be down the line. You will be able to see the infrastructure changes in this sector with this one. So I hope this will set you the context for the discussions by the subsequent speakers, so that I can add a little later about other infrastructure investment points. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar, for this overview on the development of the infrastructure in India, especially for transportation and the ports, and also for the possibilities for the Italian companies to be part of the expansion of your transportation infrastructure in India. We hope that starting from now, we can strengthen our relationship in the transportation and in the shipping and maritime area.
Yep.
Now we are connected with Mrs. Maya Bakran Marcic from, sorry if the spelling of, of the name is not correct, from the European Commission of Transport, EU-India Cooperation in Transport and Logistics. Mrs. Maya, are you connected?
Yes.
Thank you very much for being with us.
I hear you very well. I hope you can hear me very well as well.
Yes, we do.
Perfect,
Thank you.
perfect. So, very nice good afternoon to everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, it is really a privilege to address you, and the topic is really crucial and really topic what is in the focus now. This is EU-India cooperation in transport and logistics. We have just heard from the Honorable Consul, Mr. Lavania Kumar, of all the investment, all the movement taking place, and again, really timely, important discussion, and it is reflecting significance of growing significance of our partnership as we both shape global supply chains and connectivity. Very timely why I said that. Just last week, our President, together with the College of Commissioners, which is of course for the first time, have visited India, and President von der Leyen has stated on this occasion that we seek to deepen ties with one of our most trusted friends and allies, India, when she met the Prime Minister Modi. President von der Leyen also said that Europe and India are like-minded partners. We are committed to strengthening our strategic partnership to advance trade. So within our strategic partnership between the EU and India, back in 2021, we have launched an initiative called EU-India Connectivity Partnership. And this is really a key one, designed to promote sustainable, transparent, and rules-based connectivity between Europe and India. So within this framework, we remain committed to promote transport networks that adhere to international standards and best practices. Emphasis is on smart and sustainable transport systems, and we want to develop resilient supply chains, including through enhanced maritime connections, but also, crucially, investment in urban mobility and railways, as well as cooperation in the aviation sector. So last week only reaffirmed our strong commitment on both sides to develop cooperation, including in the transport area. India, of course, is the world's most populous country. It is the world's 5th largest economy, and India's role on the global stage is only beginning to grow. India today is the 2nd largest seaborne importer globally, after China, just after China. India is the 2nd largest importer of coal, 19% of the global total, crude oil, 12%, and LPG, 16%. I think it's important to look at these figures, and we can see that India is an increasingly key driver of global seaborne trade, projected to reach over 1.2 billion tons of imports by 2035. As we have just heard from the Honorable Consul, the Indian government has put indeed a strategic focus on maritime sector. We understand the target is to reach top 5 global fleet ranking by 2047. We are of course very closely following all these developments. Let us also not forget that today India is the 5th largest source of seafarers, and they contribute about 12% of the global total, with an ambition to increase this to 1/5, 20%. So from our side, we are certainly very pleased to see that the Indian government has set ambitious policy goals in port development, fleet expansion, shipbuilding, and sustainable shipping. And these are certainly all areas where we are keen to even further deepen our cooperation. India has more than 80 major ports, and they handled more than 70,000 vessel calls last year. Mundra, India's largest port, ranks 50th globally in tonnage handled, and we are also aware that India is targeting the development of 3 additional mega ports by 2030. So these developments certainly significantly enhance already existing maritime connections between the EU and India. India's ambitions to strengthen its maritime sector fully align with our commitment to sustainable and resilient trade networks. By working together, we can build a more efficient and forward-looking global supply chain. We, as the EU, are already one of India's top trading partners with major shipping routes connecting Indian ports to European hubs in Rotterdam, in Antwerp, in Hamburg, as well as in Genoa. So looking ahead, we see several key trends that are set to shape the future of EU-India maritime trade. One is increasing containerized trade between India and Europe. Second is accelerated port modernization and digitalization. And finally, rising demand for sustainable and alternative fuel-powered vessels. And all these are key elements of our efforts within the EU to decarbonize transport and certainly maritime transport. So here, again, willing and eager, and we are already working closely with our Indian friends and partners. These trends reinforce the need for a robust, sustainable and efficient logistics network between our 2 regions. And recognizing this, both sides have been strengthening cooperation in all of the key areas. For instance, we have been working on improving maritime routes, on increasing port efficiency and strengthening logistics chains. European ports of Rotterdam, Antwerp and Hamburg already serve as critical hubs for Indian trade, and new opportunities for collaboration in port management, digitalization and sustainable maritime operations are emerging, and we need to seize them. We are committed to work with India to promote sustainable transport, to reduce carbon emissions and facilitate green shipping in the context of the EU Global Gateway initiative. As part of this initiative, and this is quite an important element, we are looking into green shipping corridors between the EU and India, as they could ensure availability of renewable and low carbon fuels for bunkering, helping to decarbonize maritime transport. These corridors would also create opportunities for the export of sustainable, renewable and low carbon fuels from India to the EU, fostering a cleaner and more efficient shipping ecosystem. So apart from the cooperation in maritime sector, which is of course at the center of your discussions in this panel, we of course here engage bilaterally in other transport sectors. For example, as part of the EU-India Trade and Technology Council, again a meeting held just last week in India, we have agreed with our Indian counterparts to explore cooperation on harmonizing standards for electric vehicle charging infrastructure so as to ensure interoperable and efficient progress of e-mobility. Furthermore, we continue to explore possible ways to further improve aviation air connectivity, including by following up on the very successful EU-India Aviation Summit that was held in India in 2023. This event highlighted potential of the EU and India working together more closely on all matters of aviation policy. So to conclude, European Union and India will further strengthen their partnership in transport and logistics. It is in both our interests, and it is happening already. Last week's EU-India Summit symbolizes our shared commitment to deepening ties and exploring new avenues of cooperation, in particular when we think about the potential of a future trade agreement. I will stop here. Thank you very much, and really from surprisingly sunny Brussels, I do wish you a very successful discussion this afternoon. Thank you.
Mi scusi, può attivare il microfono per cortesia, se no la dottoressa di là non sente.
Okay. So now we are going to see the legal aspect. and what are the opportunities for Italian companies to set up their legal entity and to start business dealing with India. A questo proposito lascio la parola a Marco Lenti, che ci parlerà anche delle relazioni Italia-India nell'ambito delle principali convenzioni internazionali. Prego Marco.
Grazie mille Riccardo. Forse hai il telecomando perché ho una presentazione. Grazie. Grazie Riccardo e grazie ovviamente al Propeller per l'invito a parlare in questo consesso molto interessante. For the benefit of the Council, I will switch to English so that we can... No, it's a pleasure for me, don't worry. So, the purpose of my presentation is to provide you a framework of what are the legal relations between European Union and India on one side, and between Italy and India on the other side, focus on the relationship related to the shipping business. But before entering into the detail of my presentation, let me show you some data about the trade between European Union and India. From this slide, which comes from the European Parliament Research Service, we can see that the global trade on 2022, the global trade between India and European Union was about 115 billion of euros, and with an asymmetrical relationship between India and European Union, because we see that European Union is for India the second largest trade partner after US, whereas for the European Union, India is the 10th commercial partner in the world. And then we see also that if we look at the single data, we see that Italy, among the European countries, is the third commercial partner of India, both in terms of export and import. The main the trade regards mainly manufactured goods. You can see the data from these slides. But also there are also services which are relevant to compare in relation to the trade between India and European Union, and we see that among the services, the 22.7% regard transport services that are exported from European Union to India, and vice versa. They represent the 19.8% from India to European Union. Now, even though India recognized the European Union since the beginning in the 60s, there are no specific treaty regarding the trade between, or general treaty between India and the European Union. There are negotiations which have the aim to implement and to strengthen the trade relationship between the two partners, in the frame also to reach the goal of stated by the Green Deal in Europe, in order also to grant the respect of the rights of the workers and the employee, etc. But nowadays, as said, there are no specific treaties, so the trade relationship between European Union and India are governed by the criteria, by the principle of the most favored nations, applied and elaborated within the WTO. And this principle means that when each country lower commercial barriers or open up markets toward the third commercial partners, they have to apply the same treatment also to goods coming from all the other countries. So this is the main principle that applies between India and European Union. And what about Italy? Yes. And what about Italy? There are almost 40 treaties between India and Italy, bilateral treaties. You may find the list in this link of the Ministry of the Foreign Affairs, but I will focus on the most interesting for our discussion today. The most important is probably this commercial agreement that Italy and India entered into in 1959. Where the parties, the two countries, established the principle of reciprocal discriminations in import and export of certain goods that are listed in the agreement. This agreement is also is also interesting because states that ships of each of the two countries can approach the respective ports, can use the port infrastructures and the port equipment of each country. They can get bunker services or other services, and they are granted treatment that are not less favorable than those treatment agreed upon to other countries. So again, we have the application of the principle of the most favored nation. This agreement has been updated in '64, where the parties simply updated the list of goods that are not discriminated each other, and they clarified that the agreement does not apply to those coastal services and maritime activities which each country reserves to nationals. Regarding the shipping business, it is interesting to see which convention Italy and India are part of. India, of course, is part of the International Maritime Organization and therefore adhere to the convention regarding the safety of the life at sea, the SOLAS, and the environment, the MARPOL, and the maritime and the maritime work, meaning that the MLC 2006, which grant to seafarer minimum rights in terms of work. Then India, that it is interesting, did not ratify the Hague-Visby rules, which are you may know, which is the convention related to the transport of goods under bill of lading. This is not really relevant because we know that the convention applies to every kind of transport that is regulated by a bill of lading, and it is international, regardless the fact that the travel is between countries which are not party of the convention. India has not ratified the Convention of Athens regarding the transport of people and their luggages. And that is interesting, that may be interesting, because India has not ratified the Convention of Brussels of 1952 about the arrest of vessels, which is the kind of convention which allows creditors who have what we call maritime credits, which are listed in the convention, to arrest the vessels, to secure debts, etc. On the contrary, India is part of the Montreal Convention regarding the air transport, okay, both of persons, luggages, and goods. Another point, India has not ratified the Convention of the International Sale of Goods, meaning that every time we enter into a relationship within Indian companies, it should be helpful to recall all the convention or a law like the Italian law which incorporates the convention. Finally, a focus about the procedural relationship between the countries, meaning the possibility to enforce judgment both in India and in Italy. Again, there is not a bilateral treaty between the parties for the acknowledgement of reciprocal judgment, so that the point, in case an Italian citizen or an Italian company wants to enforce a judgment, an Italian judgment in India, they should start a legal action in order to have this Italian judgment recognized in India and enforced. Same is in Italy, because in Italy, as we do not have a treaty, the private international law applies, and according to Article 64 of Law 218, an Indian judgment can be recognized according to certain principles, meaning that the rights of the party has been granted, in particular the contradiction right, meaning that the writ of summons has been properly served, and the decision rendered by the Italian judgment is not in contrast with the public order principle in Italy, etc. I hurry because I know that I have not so much time. And I conclude saying that both parties are members of the Convention of New York of 1958 for the reciprocal acknowledgement of arbitrational award. And this is very important because under a practical profile, if you need to enter into a contract between with an Indian company, it would be much helpful to provide for an arbitration clause in the contract, because we know that both parties are members of the convention, so it would be much easier to have an arbitration award recognized in India and in Italy rather than a judgment. And I conclude, and I thank you for your attention.
Grazie Marco per averci dato questa visione dei trattati e delle relazioni internazionali intrattenuti dall'India con l'Europa e con le convenzioni internazionali, e soprattutto per i dati macroeconomici che ci hai fornito, che hanno dimostrato come l'Italia sia uno dei maggiori partner commerciali dell'India. Ma tutto questo poi come si traduce nella operatività quotidiana? Come fanno le nostre aziende a distribuire i loro prodotti all'interno dell'India? E per tutto questo darei la parola ora a Isabel Ladei, Country Manager di un gruppo importante di spedizionieri internazionali che è Login AG. Isabel, prego.
Thank you, Riccardo. Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everyone. As Riccardo mentioned, I'm country director for Logwin in Italy. Logwin is an international freight forwarder with own offices in 40 countries. And I'm here today to give you a short insight into our services in India, in a country which has become a global hub for logistics and manufacturing in the past decade. Everybody has an image of India, whether they have visited the country or not. This is based on what they have seen, what they have heard, or what history told us. They envision a place that is big and busy. But is this the reality? Does this match the reality? Yes, of course it is. In India, you will see all these lively cities, loud markets, a land in constant movement where the past and the present coexist, a land in constant evolution. This is the incredible India. I call it incredible, because it's enough just to look at the numbers, the sheer size of the country, the 1.4 billion people, inhabitants, the 325 languages spoken in one country. And actually, I could stay here, for the whole day to praise the marvels of India, but I'm really supposed to focus on logistics and manufacturing. So let's go straight. How did India become a global hub for manufacturing? The rise has been driven by a combination of government initiatives, economic reforms, infrastructure development, the large labor force for sure, and technological advancements. Several initiatives were launched to promote domestic manufacturing and to attract foreign investment across 25 countries. As you see, 100% FDI, foreign direct investment, was allowed in several sectors, including electronics and automotive. Parallelly, various reforms were also introduced to make it easy to do business in India. Regulations were streamlined, bureaucracy was significantly reduced. Then in 2022, a national logistics policy was introduced to reduce the logistics costs and to improve the supply chain efficiency in the country. Surely India has a labor advantage because the labor is not just large, and it's not just kind of cost-effective compared to many other countries, but it's also skilled, quite skilled. Sectors like automotive, automobile, electronics, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals started to develop rapidly next to the usual textile and apparel industry. The growth of the manufacturing was also enabled by administrative and infrastructural investments via dedicated freight corridors or the so-called special economic zones. These offer tax incentives, in some cases even 100% exemption on income tax on exported goods, which is really something remarkable. The ICDs, these international container depots, are located typically in the special economic zones. They are the backbones of the fast and efficient cargo flow in the country. They are typically linked to the ports via railway, while the CFS are typically closer to the port, linked via road transportation. And you can see also the confrontation of the numbers. You have roughly 40 ICDs across India, while the CFS number is extremely large. Only in the top 3 ports you have over 70 CFS. Surely the infrastructural investment went hand in hand with technological advancements in general and in innovation in manufacturing, especially in automation, robotics, and AI in the recent years. India undoubtedly made remarkable steps into becoming a global hub, but still there are challenges, obviously, also in India. There are still infrastructure bottlenecks in the roads, in the ports, issues with electricity supply occasionally. And in some states, we still see complex labor laws with bureaucratic hurdles. And though I mentioned that the labor force is skilled, still there are some industries, especially high-tech industries, where the skill gap is still notable. But India is definitely a country evolving with a very fast pace, a country where progress is happening every day. And our company, Log, Air and Ocean, contributed to this journey since 2008, when our first office was opened in Mumbai. Today we count 10 office locations across the country. You will see now that they are strategically positioned north, south, east, and west in the country to offer a complete coverage to serve our international customers. The first office was opened 2008 in Mumbai. That's one of the biggest hubs, obviously. On the one hand, for the air freight shipments, and notably for the sea freight, which is served via the ports. The ports of Nhava Sheva and Jawaharlal Nehru. Pune, located close to Mumbai, serves as an important hub for manufacturing of automotive and engineering goods. Our colleagues in Pune are in close touch with the colleagues in Mumbai, which is actually the primary gateway both for air freight and sea freight for this area. Still in 2008, we opened up Delhi in the capital. This is a gateway for the North Indian states. It's a massive air freight volume moving out from the airport, while the ocean freight operations are handled in three ICDs, that of TKD, Dadri, and Faridabad. In Southeast India, you find Chennai, where our colleagues handle automotive, general engineering, agricultural machinery, and minerals. Bangalore, also called as the Silicon Valley of India, is undoubtedly a tech capital. Next to the industries of automotive and aviation, we still see an extensive retail production here. Bangalore is located, is served by 3 CFS, Concord, Marigold, and Sattava, connecting it to Chennai and Nhava Sheva ports for sea freight cargo. Tirupur, also called as the T-shirt capital of India. Here, our office is strategically located to serve the suppliers, the vendors in the Tirupur, Madurai, Coimbatore region. Typically, garments. Tuticorin serves as a valuable consolidation hub for the fashion industry, and it's a major maritime gateway. In Hyderabad, our air freight team is specialized in the swift handling of time-sensitive and temperature-controlled cargo. It's famous for the pharma industry. In Kolkata, eastern part of India, our office handles both air freight and sea freight shipments. The industries are primarily related to leather and steel. The river of Kolkata connects the region to global routes next to Colombo and Singapore. The last office we opened was actually last year in Ahmedabad. This region plays a key role in the pharmaceutical and chemical industry. The city is well-equipped. International airport can handle practically all types of cargo, and the proximity to major ports like Mundra and Pipavav allows smooth flow via sea freight. All these offices are linked together via a unified global IT system, not just in India, but connecting all our 40 countries. They offer immediate visibility on all aspects of a shipment, be that the simple visibility, cargo status, but also the documentational parts or the financial part related to the business. Obviously, the tracking and tracing is 24 available, fully visible to our clients. But what we believe that makes the real difference is not the IT systems or the assets. The real difference, in our view, is made by the combination of assets and the people, the human resources. Our teams are working closely day by day, very dedicated to serve customers, to meet the customer demands. They combine the local expertise with the global mindset and the global IT infrastructure they have behind. The team, actually, 10% of our team has 30% of our team has a seniority of over 10 years, while 70% of them has a seniority over 5 years with Logwin. And this is kind of rare to have such seniority, such stable team in a fast-evolving markets like India. But we strongly believe that only the combination of assets and people can really make the difference what transportation services required. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Isabel, for a very comprehensive presentation of your activities in India, which means that you can assist companies in their logistic needs and transportation needs from and to India. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And now we have to change the panel. Thank you, Mr. Kumar, for being here and for your speech. Grazie, Marco Lenti, and to Ms. Myers, she's still connected, and to Isabel Ligay. Thank you so much. Now I ask Roberto Bova from Messina Line, and Vincenzo Noble from Saledil, and Cecilia Giannini to come to the... Bene. Iniziamo questa seconda parte. Abbiamo sentito parlare di porti, di infrastruttura, di trasporti, di logistica all'interno dell'India, ma vogliamo ora sentire lo stato dell'arte dello shipping in India. E quindi vorremmo sentire da Roberto Bova, Line Manager Middle East e India di Messina Line, parlarci della sua esperienza nella operatività con il mercato indiano nel settore dello shipping. Prego.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the invitation to be as company a panelist here at this focus. Actually, we are here to share a little bit our direct experience as shipping company in Indian market. So making a short focus also on figures related to more to Italy than EU, and to be also witness for our last direct investment done in India as ship agents. Actually, I take again some figures that, sorry. So actually, our shipping company has now more than one century of life. It actually has always focused its activity on the X, now north-south, having the Mediterranean area as its main hub and main basin, and has grown together with the African continent for all along these years. But what we have seen actually that the world is changing also in trade, and finally what we have discovered is that India actually is now our new China, because actually not covering China as country. What we have seen, what we are looking at is that the figures related to the growth of India are really impressive. And even if we are not operating as global carrier, it's impossible not to consider this country to expand the fleet, to invest directly there, and to find, to give a contribution to what is actually the growth of trade between Mediterranean, Italy, and India. Actually, now I'm retaking some short figures that has been already discussed in the previous interventions, because actually to share the vision of a shipping company, what can be the element that push a shipping company to create a new line, to invest in new vessels, to increase capacity, to try to do something in a new continent like India. It's just the tax of growth that we can see, and the tax of growth related to the commodities that are transported between India and Europe. If we look at the commercial balance between India and Italy, we see that actually the export from India to Italy is actually more consistent than vice versa. But if we are talking about a commodity that can be transported in containers, actually we are talking about a balanced trade. Balanced trade means that this is a perfect for under a point of view of a shipping company, because what you export there, you can then use the container to be back to your country. So actually, it's the perfect formula. Of course, competition is huge, but giving something, I mean, in terms of alternative service, you can do actually a good job. What you see also that if you look at the position, the place that Italy is covering as supplies to India around the world, across the world, and vice versa, we are still at 26th place, and India is in the 14th place among suppliers of Italy. This means that actually there are huge margins of growth of the trade. Thanks also what is the political intervention that today are really of actuality, also because a lot of discussion are done in terms of free trade agreements that could actually help a lot these kind of developments. But have a look to Italy, because actually we are not a regional carrier, because actually we are covering 50 countries around the world, but we are not global, but actually Italy for us remains our main market. Okay, of course, we are working a lot with Africa, but today what is representing the volumes in containers from and to India and Italy? Because I appreciate a lot actually what is the relation with the EU and the call that Ms. mergers did to Rotterdam, about Rotterdam, Antwerp, and the North European ports, but actually Genoa is at home, and actually Mediterranean can still play an important role in this kind of connectivity. Mainly today that we are facing a particular situation in Red Sea, and we'll spend some words later on about this particular situation. What you see here that is actually that we are talking about 125,000 TEU from India to Italy, and around 1,400, 3,000 TEU from Italy to India. So this is the reference to balanced trade that I did earlier. And what you can see, look at this graphic, is that while from India today there are two main ports really concerning the traffic to Italy, that are to and from Italy, that are mainly Navasheva and Mundra. On the other side, Italy is more distributed in terms of ports concerned in the traffic, because of course Genoa remains the main one, but also Adriatic, also southern Italy ports, and so on. This is nice to see, because actually this means that the logistic networks in Italy is ready to accept to manage all the cargo coming from India all across the country. It is a good news. What do we see when we look at the growth of ports in India? Actually, that there are two particular areas of India that are more concerned in logistics and export and import cargo, and these are the areas of northwest and south, more than the rest part of India. This is the reason why actually today you see that Mundra and Navasheva are largely the top ones, followed by then the Kochi and Chennai and Tuticorin for the remaining part. And this is just confirming the fact that the growth is there. We are talking about 30 million TEUs in 2030, with a huge growth compared to what has been seen in 2020. But the most important information that we can get from this slide is that actually, and I repeat, from our point of view as a shipping company, there are so many important operators offering services in the ports. That means that contrary to some ports in Africa, for example, where we are still suffering a sort of monopoly or just a duopoly in terms of terminal operators, here the competition is granted by the operation of different global terminal operators. This means that is granted the competitivity and the quality of the service. Of course, at the same time, this kind of growth must be managed, because it's not easy to invest quickly in new terminals to grant a certain quality of service if the volumes is growing so quickly in terms of volumes. Of course, if you look at our experience, to deploy vessels in this trade means to face a strong and dynamic competition of global carriers. What we can see, that is dynamic market, because the news of this year, the new global alliances between global carriers will affect congestion, different or redistribution of volumes between different ports and terminals. So this could mean congestion. On the other side, it's expected an important growth of capacity on vessels, containerized vessel for the coming year, mainly at the end of the year, that is represented by 4.5% additional capacity compared to the current year, against a demand that, globally speaking, we are talking, is foreseen at plus 3%. At the same time, we must monitor, if we want to be ready to be flexible and change and to take opportunities from the market, to look at all the geopolitics news. And this is not, of course, our task to explain what is happening today, but of course the levies and the wars and everything can affect a lot the policy of the shipping companies, where and how to move the capacity. And finally, Of course, this has been mentioned also by Consul Kumar. There is also a plan for India to establish a direct fleet of a large quantity of vessels. That can be, of course, good news for Indian economy, because can give an alternative to the shipping companies today on the market. But at the same time, for us, it represents a new competition. But I mean, this is our job, and we'll do our best. Giving you a flash about shipping, at the beginning of this year has been counted 13 ships trading dedicated from Europe and India. But what is the news that actually is the size of this vessel that is growing, because the global carriers are introducing or changing or resetting up the fleet, moving on this trade larger vessels. This means you see the average now it's from 9,800 TEU to 11,000 TEU. Our company, just to give you a flash, is deploying a vessel of 6,000 TEU. This means that the capacity will grow. We'll have more pressure on the sea freights, but at the same time, it depends of different factors how actually market will react to this kind of additional capacity. What can you see? I talk about Red Sea. Red Sea actually is a criticity or an opportunity today on this trade. I mean, our company is one of the few ones that are still crossing Bab el-Mandeb Strait to offer a direct service from India to Mediterranean. This means that the transit time to Mediterranean is largely shorter, because if you can imagine simply of navigation at 15 knots, a vessel from Mundra to Spain is employing 17 days more compared to the vessels that are crossing Suez. So this means that actually some particular cargo that needs urgent deliveries by sea can take advantage of this. On the other side, of course, shipping companies like us that decided to do that are affected by higher insurance costs and sometimes some operational trouble, because actually, and this is also thanks to the EU intervention, we benefit of the military convoy to cross the strait, and sometimes this means that we have to wait a couple of days or additional to cross the straits, but totally in safety. So until this situation will go on, we hope actually the shortest possible, because this means that the situation in Israel and Palestinian will come to an end. Actually, the market will be anyway affected by this situation, because actually some global are offering the service from the Atlantic, from the Cape, deploying a largest vessel. At the same time, maybe they are giving more space to more profitable traffics like Africa, West Africa today, for example, is giving higher rate on the market. So this is just a flash about shipping, but shipping cannot do anything, or can do only partially what it can do, if not supported by logistics, inland logistics and ports. We discussed already about ports. Logistics means what is done in terms of road connectivity and railways. Our ambassador in India states recently, actually we are talking about a country that is building 10 kilometers per day of railway and 15 kilometers per day of roads, so they are running very quick. But of course the continent is huge, it needs time. Anyway, the perspective is good, is the reason why a company like us, in our small experience, decided without any doubt to set up a direct presence there, starting simply with opening a ship agency there, direct controlled. And just a few words to say that actually, after having opened more than 10 direct controlled branches across Africa, what we found here is rapidity in formalities, and it has been easy to find skilled people, like has been already mentioned earlier. Actually, we found 22 people to be employed in a short time. We'll install 2 owner representatives there. We start with 3 offices in the main areas that are involved in our traffics, and we are decided for the time being to give as a sub-agent a contract to another local partner, an Indian partner that will assure the commercial coverage of the remaining areas. Of course, this is with a look at the future, that never say never. The second step will be to invest directly in logistics facilities like ICD or depots and etc. This is just to say that actually quickly open the branches, sure that we can actually give a better service locally if we actually control together with some local partner directly the business there. Thank you for the attention.
Grazie Roberto per aver condiviso la vostra esperienza diretta e anche la vostra attività, che ovviamente va molto a supporto delle nostre aziende. Fa piacere vedere una compagnia marittima italiana al di fuori del Mediterraneo con una presenza così importante. Ma ora vorrei un po' sentire il parere di chi commercia in maniera attiva con l'India e capire se dalla sua esperienza ha trovato delle difficoltà o quali sono i problemi anche da un punto di vista logistico che un'azienda medio-piccola, che poi non è tanto media ma dai numeri che mi ha dato un'azienda piuttosto importante, comunque ha avuto come esperienza in India. Do la parola a Vincenzo Nobile, signor manager della Saledil.
Grazie a tutti per questo invito e grazie principalmente alla Camera di Commercio indiana con la quale noi siamo appunto associati come Saledil. Io sono la seconda generazione di questa appunto azienda che è nata negli anni '80 da mio padre. Io ho iniziato 4 anni fa il processo di internazionalizzazione della nostra azienda, questa piccola e media impresa di Salerno, che ci ha portato ad un processo di importazione di piastrelle dall'India. Il percorso è stato sicuramente un percorso ricco di tantissime soddisfazioni, ma anche di grandi insidie durante il percorso. In questo contesto appunto c'è stata sicuramente di grande supporto la Camera di Commercio indiana, con la quale fin dal primo momento ci siamo associati e ci ha supportato soprattutto nella parte fiscale e doganale, per la quale chiaramente bisogna avere particolare attenzione quando ci si affaccia ad un commercio internazionale così e come quello indiano. Sicuramente le difficoltà più importanti che ci siamo trovati ad affrontare appunto riguardano la difficoltà di affrontare un sistema geopolitico internazionale continuamente sostanzialmente instabile, che ci provoca una fluttuazione continua dei prezzi dei noli e sostanzialmente una riduzione della marginalità per noi che siamo una piccola e media impresa, con una difficoltà in alcuni casi anche del mantenimento del prezzo finale concordato con il cliente. Questo chiaramente è causato da una difficoltà che non dipende principalmente da noi, ma da un contesto internazionale, come dicevo appunto, particolarmente stabile nell'ultimo periodo, soprattutto nell'area del Medio Oriente. In particolare nell'ultimo periodo abbiamo particolarmente avuto problemi al trasporto proveniente dal canale di Suez, appunto, per i ribelli yemeniti sostanzialmente, che hanno fatto alzare notevolmente il prezzo del nolo e in alcuni casi anche un cambiamento di rotta sostanzialmente da parte dei nostri spedizionieri e quindi da parte dei vari armatori, appunto, che comportavano anche un aumento dei tempi di alloconsegna. Questo ha provocato sia un aumento dei tempi di alloconsegna, ma anche una difficoltà per noi di mantenere durante tutto il periodo una qualità del prodotto che restasse immutata nel tempo. E molto spesso chi si affaccia ad un mercato indiano ha questa difficoltà, diciamo, quella di fare leva su un costo che è inferiore, principalmente delle piastrelle, ma molto spesso sostanzialmente questo non va ad attaccarsi a quella che è una qualità che si ricerca del prodotto. Noi invece il punto di svolta è nato appunto nell'ottobre del 2024, quando abbiamo sottoscritto un accordo di esclusiva con un'azienda indiana per il sud Italia, con la quale abbiamo iniziato questo processo di importazione che ci garantisce non solo una continuità del percorso di trasporto dall'India verso l'Italia, ma soprattutto una continuità di qualità del prodotto che ci viene garantito sia per noi negli standard che richiediamo come sostanzialmente azienda, sia verso il nostro cliente finale. Le soluzioni che abbiamo cercato di adottare come azienda per far fronte e quindi per fronteggiare queste difficoltà di fluttuazione di prezzi sono principalmente un approccio di carattere adattivo e quindi un approccio di continua analisi del contesto nel quale ci inseriamo, per far sì che attraverso l'acquisizione di nuovi magazzini logistici che abbiamo nell'ultimo anno affittato e comprato successivamente ci permetta di fare un maggiore stoccaggio di merci direttamente in Campania e quindi di poter sostanzialmente commercializzare il prodotto nei periodi di maggiore apparente quiete internazionale e quindi di poter importare maggiormente nei periodi in cui i noli sono più bassi e di stoccare in questo modo le piastrelle che ci permettono di garantire, grazie all'accordo di esclusiva, una qualità sempre uguale nel tempo. L'India per noi è sicuramente un faro per il prossimo futuro e abbiamo deciso di investire anche come finanziamenti direttamente propri in questo percorso e siamo sicuri che nei prossimi anni saranno sicuramente tante le soddisfazioni che verranno. Grazie.
Grazie signor Nobile. In effetti le difficoltà che avete avuto con l'India sono piuttosto generalizzate. Chiunque commercio con il Far East si è trovato di fronte a queste fluttuazioni di noli così drammatiche, così pesanti e anche ovviamente con il problema dell'attraversamento del canale di Suez, tempi di navigazione che si sono allungati e di conseguenza hanno provocato un ulteriore alzamento dei noli che poi si sono nuovamente abbassati e stanno raggiungendo livelli minimi che effettivamente cominciano a preoccupare dal lato opposto. D'altra parte questa dinamica dei noli è anche abbastanza comprensibile perché vi è una spinta notevole al ribasso al costo più basso in assoluto, senza tener conto che vi è un limite oltre il quale le stesse compagnie non possono andare e quando succede devono poi recuperare nel momento in cui la richiesta del mercato eccede quello che è la capacità di carico. Abbiamo visto come l'India è una grandissima opportunità, come vi sono delle potenzialità, delle possibilità per le nostre aziende, ma come tutti i mercati, definiamolo pur nuovo anche se nuovo non è, non si possono approcciare sempre in maniera semplice, in maniera diretta. Occorre quindi l'assistenza di esperti, l'assistenza di chi possa in qualche modo aiutarci, come ha testimoniato anche il signor Nobile, e questo è il ruolo della Camera di Commercio italiana per l'India. E lascerei a Cecilia Giannini raccontarci che cosa fa la Camera di Commercio per assistere le aziende che vogliono appunto approcciare questo interessantissimo mercato. Prego Cecilia.
Salve a tutti, solo due parole, 2 words on the Indian Chamber of Commerce in Italy. I thank you, Riccardo, and the Propeller Club to have given us the opportunity to co-organize this session about India in this particular sector. Just 2 words about us, and I thank also Vincenzo for the nice words. He talked about the Chamber of Commerce, and he was one of the company that came with us last year in Gujarat to assist to 2 fairs. So we have exchanged some nice experiences together, and I thank you a lot, Sir, the Consul General, to be here to be part of this event. So we are the Indian Chamber of Commerce in Italy. We're based in Milan, so we overview the Italian market, and we are quite old, because this year we'll be 50 years old that we are present in the Italian market. We were born as an association, and only in 2003 we became an official Chamber of Commerce. Siamo ufficialmente riconosciuti dal MIMIT e ricadiamo sotto Union Camere, nella sezione Camere Estere Miste in Italia. You can see here 22 today. Why? As you can see in the previous slide, we passed many years in which Chamber grew a lot. They organized a lot of mission in India, and they were hosting delegation from India to Italy. Then there was some times in which was quite quiet, sorry for the repetition, and during COVID, we can see that there was a complete change in the governance of the Chamber, and we start our real activity in 2022, and we can see, as you saw in the previous speeches, India has grown a lot in all the sectors, and also in the exchange between India and Italy and in our community. Now we are more than 120 active members. We assisted in just 2 years more than 100 companies, and we have a network of more than 3,000 of professionals. We signed 10 memorandum of understanding with Indian government, state government, and industry association. Also, when we went last year in a delegation, we signed 2 MOUs, and we organize more than 20 events in Italy. When I say that we assist, it means that we focus on 3 main areas. Of course, business consultancy. I lived in India many years. I overview all the international project. Mr. Luciano Pettoello Mantovani is the Secretary General, lived in India more than 5 years, so we know very well the market. We are consultant of internationalization. But we focus also on the commercial area. So if you want to go to India with a delegation, you can contact us. We organize a sector-specific mission to India, and we host also delegation from India here. We organize B2B. We go to fairs, so the usual commercial area. And then it's an area which is growing a lot this year, especially 2024 and 2025, is the cultural area, which I'm very proud of, because we are organizing, for example, a big, let's say, art, una mostra d'arte, which a very famous fondazione here in Milan. It will be in June and July, but I will give you more details if you follow us, because we are still organizing with Fondazione Iannacone, which is a big foundation, in which we are going to make a dialogue between Indian artists and Italian artists. And this is one thing that we are there in cultural area. And another very interesting thing is we are preparing a small guide on doing business in Italy for all Indian investors. Because yes, we assist companies to go to India. We promote India in the Italian market. We organize events. But what we are seeing is that also India is coming to Italy, which is very interesting. Before was less exchange from India to Italy, while now we are having a lot of requests also from India. And just some events, because we are also proud about all the organization of events we are doing. For example, in March, we will be organizing 3 events. One will be Holi, which we celebrate Holi with our partner that also is present here, Mr. Bordorini, and it's going to be next week. Then we will organize an event in Genova on the 28th of March, and in Udine on the 21st of March. And this is what does it mean? As you can see from the images, we always host the Consul General, because we are talking about north of Italy, and there will be always some Italian companies that are present in India or that want to go to India, and it's a real dialogue between all of us, saying what are our challenges, what I want to do in India, how you can support us. And then we have seen that we have done in Trieste last year, we have done in Vicenza, then we are going to do in Vicenza this 6 December 2024, in Torino 12 December 2024, and we have seen that companies really like this kind of format, because they're able to speak and they're able to say what are their difficulties and how we can, let's say, support them. I'm done. Oh, no, another nice thing that we are doing is a lot of papers, and we have done last year a white paper on tourism. So with our partner Pozzea, Aeroporti di Milano, Zucchetti, and Firenze Village, we have done a study on how the Indian tourism have changed in Italy and how it has grown. And this is very interesting because as all the sectors are growing, also the tourism is growing from the Indian market. So you see couples, you see professionals that are coming to Italy. And this we will do again in 2 years to see how it has grown. So, so we want to grow our community. We are getting bigger and bigger because India is becoming always much more interesting. So we are always welcome. Whoever wants to know about India can write us, can come to see us in our office in Milan, can come to our events, you can follow us, and we are very happy. Since we love India, we are passionate about India in all its, let's say, faces. So thank you very much, and thank you to all of you to have participated to this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. Thank you very much. And I also would like to announce that Propeller Club is considering to organize a mission in India by the end of the year. Hopefully, yeah, that is a very important topic.
Very good.
Yeah, definitely. Quindi abbiamo avuto veramente un overview di quello che è il mercato italiano veramente completa. E penso che siano emerse veramente le grandi opportunità che ci sono per le nostre aziende, anche nel settore della logistica, nel poter collaborare con l'India. Detto questo, lascerei magari un breve spazio a delle domande prima di chiudere, ricordando anche però che domani il convegno prosegue, vi sono 2 sessioni, ESG e sostenibilità, industria e logistica unite per le regole, e poi la semplificazione delle regole in materia dei flussi logistici, dogane e tecnologie. Se qualcuno volesse fare qualche domanda, altrimenti chiudiamo la sessione. Prego.
Maybe if just the Consul General wants to give some final remarks, because
yeah, please,
Mr.
Consul.
Just to close the session. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I will just take a minute before saying this thing. So, just to add a few something.
Okay.
Yeah, just to add to the points Mr. Boya was saying that about the infrastructure development, that one. So, to add that lot of state governments and federal government are combinedly investing a lot of amount in infrastructure development. In last year alone, we estimate that around 3.8% of country's GDP was invested in infrastructure. Now, just to give a reflection of how these investments are changing the logistics sector, that one. So, till a few years ago, the ships turnaround time in ports was around 72 hours to 48 hours. So last year it was less than 24 hours or a day. So that means meeting or matching the global standards, that one. So now it is not enough to bring the goods to ports. So we need the backup to travel to the hinterland. So where I would like to add that there is a lot of effort is going on increasing the connection between the ports and the hinterland. So last year alone, we have constructed around 3,900 kilometers of 4-way national highways in India. That means on a day, it is not 10 kilometers, it is on an average 33.8 kilometers of national highways are being constructed per day. So that means you can imagine how much effort is going on in that one. So now another point is that to conclude, so 2 important things which you are all aware is going to rapidly change the face of India-EU bilateral trade. One is that during the visit of the EU team last week, so one is that now it has been decided that EU-India FTA will be concluded by the end of this year. And another point is that where India and India-Middle East Economic Corridor, where Italy has a key role to play. So with these 2 things, I am sure and confident that our bilateral trade with India and EU in general and with Italy in particular is going to increase manifold, where our bilateral relations is going to see a great new phase. So, and I hope as a logistic companies, you are all key role to play and to assist in this sector. Thank you. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Consul, for being with us today. Thank you so much. Grazie a tutti e a domani per chi volesse partecipare alle sessioni. Grazie.
Dai, pure questa è andata.
Due partenze al mese sostanzialmente, non riusciamo a rileggerci con le date.
Però avendo le veloci,
abbiamo un vantaggio